Hello and good evening. Welcome to the Minions of the Zoo Saturday Show. I am your host and keeper of the Harry Channel, and with me tonight are minions Sora Luna.
Hello.
DrFunctional.
Whoa.
And Kefki.
Hello.
Although you're only going to, you can only hang out with us for a little bit, so it's just like a taste of Kefki, like a bit.
Don't lick
Phrasing?
Sorry.
So I will move the cuteness part of the show into the first half hour for you. Actually, in case there's anybody who listens on Saturday who doesn't listen on other nights, can you tell us just a teeny bit about yourself before we get started, Kefki?
I am a ferret. I have white fur. Although my mother commented that my markings on my face are a bit unusual. She was always partial to me. I was the runt of the litter, you see. And a long time. Wait, I probably shouldn't go that depth into the.
And I think you were on. I was on a stream with you and Gutenberg, and I think you said you were from Tennessee or something.
Yes, I am from Tennessee.
Which explains everything, right? Because everybody in Tennessee is just like you.
Yes,
Okay.
Everybody is just like me in Tennessee, unfortunately.
We learned so much on this show. It's
Yes,
awesome.
yes.
How's it going, Sora?
Very good. How are you doing?
How am I doing? Got my car back. It
Excellent.
did get to drive for about an hour and 45 minutes in the sweltering heat again today, but my car did not die. And that's what I look for in a car, is getting me reliably from place to place. I'm kind of a stickler on that one point. So how am I today? It was like I was afraid to run the AC in 100-degree stop and go traffic. So I did kind of suffer a little bit, but it got me here in one piece, and I'm happy. And I did, in a moment of weakness, I did press the button on my phone and order some cookies from Crumble, because for some strange reason I have the world's worst sweet tooth right now. And
Crumble.
Ooh.
yeah,
Is
thanks.
that a bakery?
Well, it's kind of like a franchise where they sell these cookies, and their shtick is, you know, you show up and we hand you a bunch of fresh cookies. And are they exceptional? No. But if you feel the need to eat a lot of sugar all at once, just having that button on the phone that just delivers cookies magically to your door in about 45 minutes is pretty tempting. Yeah.
Yes, that is amazing. I want the button. I want cookies. I like cookies.
Thing is, I can make cookies. It's stupid for me to pay somebody to bring me cookies. I should just get off my ass and do that. But it's like, I'm tired and I was in the heat all day, and I have all the excuses in the world to make somebody just bring me cookies.
Yeah, well, you need no excuse to get someone to bring you cookies.
It's
That
kind
is the excuse.
it's kind of a waste
You
of
want
money.
cookies.
Well, sometimes you have to give yourself a little treat.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's way too easy. In the modern day, the gratification just comes so easily, doesn't it? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
you've got to pick out your phone and just go, ugh, and just press your thumb on a button and then cookies show up. It's pretty low effort.
Or
Yeah.
computer, 1 plate of chocolate chip cookies, please.
Yeah. Well, let's see who's here. Raymond Lewis.
You really need to get
Green
on that
Badger.
matter energy conversion.
Kiever Dam.
Pronto.
Hello, Keith.
I think I'm glad to see that some people have found us. I think we've thrown people off a little bit by starting a half hour early, but it's a lot less painful, I think, for most of the people other than Sora and I. So we're going to try to keep doing it a half hour earlier than we used to.
Yes.
Speaking of which, DrFunctional, how are you doing?
I'm only a doctor on TV and YouTube and movies.
Yeah.
Actually, no, that's a lie. I'm usually FBI in movies. I'm okay.
You're okay?
Dr.
Uh,
FBI.
Dr. FBI. Like I was telling you before the show, I had my nose buried in code all day, and it's been nice to get away from it all because I'm not a coder.
Well, what kind of code
I
was
know
it?
It's macro code for a video game for World of Warcraft.
Okay.
And it's not like it's for money or anything. It's just to help us out when we're doing things. And it's like, I understand the basic functions, but they're the two people I was working on it with are the real, like, you know their stuff about code, kind of like you might, and half of the time they're talking, it sounds like they're talking in Binar, like. And then they'll ask me a question. So if this function goes here, yeah, no, that's exactly what I want, but I don't want it to bypass that function here. Oh, okay. And then they'll go for
Well,
like
is
another
there
2 hours.
is there a
and I'm sitting there,
language that they're using? Some sort of underlying language? Is it? Are they? What are they writing in? Are you writing in YAML, C#? I mean, just give me a clue. What's the structure of the thing?
What coding language? LUA programming language.
Oh wow. Okay. Sweet. That's a good one.
I guess. I still don't know what the hell they're talking about 90% of the time, but I mean, like, it's kind of what I did when I was a graphic designer. Like, I knew, even though I knew how to design stuff, like, I was much better at the conception of the idea. And, you know, if I didn't quite know something in the execution, I could get some help with that part of the execution. So that, you know, like, oh, well, I don't know how to do like this filter, this thing, blah, 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 blah. I outline it all. And then somebody who was really good at filters would be like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. Just do this, and done. I'm like, perfect. Like, I'm very good at, like, conceiving these ideas. I'm not the best at execution.
Understood. Let me see. So we have to do the cute things first.
I like cute.
All right, let's do the cute
You kidding?
things.
You like cute?
Let's do the cute things first. Okay. So as I've mentioned in the past, here in Central California on the coast, sea otters are like a big deal. People like them. So the State University in Monterey actually has Monty Ray as their mascot, and he's a stupid sea otter. And we've previously talked about how important sea otters are to the economy and all this sort of stuff because they're cute and people love them. Well, you know, I may have spoken just a little bit too soon about the sea otters because this is a thing that happened.
Thor and Paul, good morning. Many experienced surfers out here tell me that this is a pretty wild and very unusual incident, something they've never seen before, and that this is the 4th incident of what's believed to be the same aggressive sea otter.
It's just very strange. I wasn't expecting that kind of behavior from an otter.
These are the bite marks left from the most recent attack by a particular sea otter at Cow Beach in Santa Cruz on Sunday. This is the sea otter, which can be easily identified
There's
by
the
the
culprit.
tag on its left fin. The Department of Fish and Wildlife says it's a 5-year-old
Like,
female
motherfucker, you
that was
looking at
born
my sister?
in captivity. They say that her mother
Tear
had been
your
removed from the
surfboard
wild for
apart.
aggressive behavior towards people as a result of being fed by the public.
Yeah, so
Then
here, let's
continued
go.
to bite the surfer's board, even climbing on top of it, while the surfer tried to shake it off.
When he came out, there was huge bite marks, and he was like really rapid.
There was a YouTube short, and I put a little comment on there. I just said, "Look at me, I am the captain now." so the otter is doing his thing. So it's actually gotten to the
God,
point
I love
where
that so much. Oh my God.
now they're actually issuing otter warnings.
West Cliff Drive is a picture-perfect site
Nature
in
is
Santa Cruz,
healing.
the backdrop of many social media posts. But those picturesque images are being
The animal
overshadowed
crime
by
wave
the surfing
continues.
sea otter, captured in June by native Santa Cruz photographer Mark Woodward.
Since then, in the past 5 days now, there's been 3 more incidents of it, and they've all been much more aggressive. I have photographed a lot of otters.
That surfer looks so
I
concerned.
have never seen anything.
Here you
Yeah.
thought sharks were your only enemy.
Warning:
Think
aggressive
again.
otter.
Alerting visitors of the aggressive sea otter.
And he looks just like that. There's like a mugshot. It's like artist rendition.
Cutest
Through his lens,
Have you
Woodward
seen
has
this
the
otter?
approach many surfers
Well,
and
Crime
kayakers at
Stoppers
the
at
popular
222
location.
It was a true wrestling match over the surfboard. And, the person finally got it away,
on the side.
Nom, nom, nom.
Aggressive otter.
Literally,
Maybe his
before that I
mom
filmed,
was just
the
floating
surfer
along
was
one
so
day and
freaked
got
out by it that he
bonked
left
by a
his board
surfboard
and
and never
swam
since
back to
then.
shore without
Little
it.
Johnny the
Behavior that the
sea otter's
California-
been like, no, not in my house.
Well, it's funny that you should mention the sea otter's mom. Turns out mom was a bitch too.
Dan, the aquarium and the U.S. Department of Fish and Wildlife have been out on the water all day looking for what is a surfboard stealing sea otter. And they say that it's not a matter of if they will catch it, but when. The search
Big
is
talk.
on for a sea
That's
otter
what you
stealing
think.
That's what
surfboard.
you
That's what they all
think.
The incident on Sunday caught the internet's attention. Police say there have been at least 4 reported incidents involving a sea otter and surfers in
Losers
Santa
didn't
Cruz.
say they did the
Now
rush.
signs are warning people
Winners
at
go
Santa
home
Cruz
and fuck
beaches
the
of the
prom
aggressive
queen.
otter. The U.S. Department of Fish and Wildlife and the Monterey Bay
This is the
Aquarium
most
are working
useless
to capture
picture.
the sea otter. Tag 841.
Love the bug
Any
shot.
animal can be aggressive. Any animal can be cute and cuddly too.
The aquarium says since 2021,
I
there have been
wonder if he
reports
just
of a
wants
sea
to
otter
like
harassing
float on the
kayakers
board
and
so he
surfers,
doesn't have to
and they
sit there and
believe
swim for so long
841
or
is the
something.
culprit.
This otter was born in captivity up at UC Santa Cruz.
Oh.
It was not bred in captivity, but its mother was in the wild, had to be recaptured. Its mother was displaying similar behavior, and when they recaptured the mother, she was pregnant.
The mom and her pup were taken to the aquarium. And the pup was released after.
I think the mom was just a bad influence. You know, I think it's we see this. We give them all of this money and attention, and shower with accolades, and we give them we really fluff up their self-image, but it doesn't matter. Some sea otters are just born bad.
Oh, so is this a segue into the Hollywood writers actors strike?
No.
See a lot of overlap here.
Yeah. Some otters are just born bad. I mean, but I think the piece of paper that says warning aggressive otter with the picture of the otter, it's like, how would you know it's like that otter versus another otter? It's not like you go to the post office and see like the mugshots and you see the drawings of all the shifty people.
That was the one.
That was distinguishing marks.
Yeah, let's put the otters in a lineup and see which, can you identify the otter that took your surfboard? Stupidest thing ever.
Fins up, please, and turn to your left.
Exactly.
Now turn to your right. Number 6, stop playing with the ball.
Yeah. Good times.
Number 4. Number 4, please step forward.
Yeah. I don't like the look of his beady little eyes.
I'm innocent, man. I didn't know it was his.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
I found the surfer's bag full of green stuff and I ate it, and I'm just like, freaking out.
Oh, he is biting that surfboard though. Wow.
No,
Yeah, you saw the injuries.
Now, I've gone kayaking in Monterey Bay before. I've never gone surfing because I don't have the surfing gene, apparently. It's like, that just does not seem like a good idea. Oh, well, yeah, I mean, along that point, while we're dealing with animal stories first, let me...
And surfboards are fairly light material, but they're encased in a very dense resin. So for him to be able to bite through that, that's some serious force.
Yeah. Silly things. So we have this.
Trying to kill some time here, Harry. So
No,
you
we're
get to the
fine.
next story.
Hold on, we're not getting any audio. Why are we not getting any audio?
He needs a monocle too, Frosted. No, wait. He needs a sophisticated otter too.
Oh, well, I guess there is no audio. So footage captures group of sharks swimming just below surfers at California Beach.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a great white. This is Southern California. And look, these guys are completely unaware of what's going on. Oh, look, it's like a smorgasbord at sea.
Nice.
Somebody help him.
The shark underneath is going.
The shark's underneath going eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
All these yummy toes.
And great whites, correct me if I'm wrong, are the most aggressive shark too, right?
I don't know. I'm not a shark
Mess
expert.
with them.
I know that the ocean is terrible and that they're in the ocean, so therefore they're terrible. I mean, they're not sunfish, but they are pretty terrible. Great whites are not my favorite thing.
You don't know how
You're
they
gonna say something,
identify.
Sora? You're gonna say something nice about great white sharks?
They're lovely.
Yeah.
And they've been around for ages, but they're definitely not sunfish level of bad.
Okay.
I mean, they eat asshole sea otters.
That's true.
I hope so.
I think I see some synergy
And
emerging. We could have the sharks eat that otter. Huh. That's a good idea.
Sharks with freaking laser beams on their head.
So in terms of sharks, right? You know, because sharks are terrible. I recall that they used to have products that would supposedly protect surfers from sharks, right?
Oh God!
Being on land.
Aside from being on land.
Have you ever seen Batman where he pulls out the bat shark repellent?
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. Went through immediately.
They have a bunch of products, like you can buy a thing that like puts a magnet around your wrist because that's gonna help. And then other things where it's like
we all know sharks fucking hate magnets.
Yeah, ooh, magnets. Yeah.
How do they work?
Yeah, it's all sort of that Tommy Copper level
don't
of
attack him.
rehab.
He's got a magnet on his wrist.
I know.
Sorry, Harry.
But they actually do have some products that look like they might conceivably work. Like this thing I know they've tested. It puts out, basically hangs like a 6-foot antenna behind you that puts out like a little bit of an electrical signal, which messes with the shark's nervous system, all the little sensors that the shark has.
Discomfort.
They've tested and found that if you put bait in the water, I know it's going to come as a shock, 98% of the time sharks will show up and eat the bait. Whereas if you have one of these things attached to it, it's only about 40% of the time. Now, that's not 100%, but it's sure way better than being eaten. This seems like kind of a cheap date.
Basically, you just have to swim faster than your buddy.
Oh, yeah. You have, if you can swim faster than the great white shark, yeah, that's great. Oh, you mean faster? You need like a slow friend.
Diving buddy.
You need like a slow friend that you can take surfing.
Yeah.
Gee, you guys are awfully nice. You never invited me to surf with you before. You just kick sand in my face. Hang out on the beach and nobody ever talks to me. It's really cool of you guys to bring me along.
You also have to think that, to be serious for a second,
Yeah.
I know sharks have a really good sense of smell. That's how they find most of their meals.
Yeah.
An intact person, the most you're leaking into the ocean is like the oils from your skin. Not very easy. Like it doesn't have a wide detection because it disperses so easily. Something like bait or open wounds, that like literally putting blood in the water, sharks can smell that from miles away.
That's crazy.
I don't want to misspeak, but I think that they have an olfactory system a lot of sharks do, akin to dogs. And we all know dogs have really good developed olfactory senses.
I just had a great idea.
It's like the one thing I know about sharks.
Drug sniffing sharks.
Just don't send them to the White House. I don't want to fuck them up that bad.
Is there a flaw in this plan? I can't think of what it would be.
No, they work with the Coast Guard. It's perfect.
Yeah, let me see. Remember, I showed you a video, Salt and Slug, right? Do you remember Salt and Slug? Okay. Let's see. Dancing. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment while I find another video for you. Okay, perfect.
It's not lined up?
No, this is an impromptu addition to the show. Okay, here we go.
Cartoons that never made it. He's always able to know to put on a show. Rupert, the dancing Rupert. He'll do his function to entertain you. You can laugh if you dare, but you'll be casting for air. Rupert, super duper. Just give him a look, and it's you that is hooked.
This is
Rupert. He can watch you and throw. Just look at him go.
it gets worse.
Oh my God.
He's a Rupert. Don't you know? For next week's big show. Rupert.
You get the general idea. That's about how the drug sniffing sharks would go. Okay. I have to go back to serious stuff now. All right.
Okay.
So, Kefki, you have a show to be in a few minutes, right?
At about 10, I need to duck in about 10:30, 10:40, 10:30, something like that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Brain work. Yes.
Well, just let us know when you need to.
Well, we've
toddle
only
off.
been like on for 5 minutes, right?
Well, we've been on for 22 minutes.
My concept of time is horrible.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So I was going to give you an opportunity to duck out if you want.
Oh. Okay. Thank you.
What,
Do you want me to duck out now?
Just go ahead and do it now. That way you don't have to dip out in the middle of something.
Oh, okay. Okay. Just go
And
ahead.
next time we'll
now.
go for longer.
Go away, Kefki. We don't like you anymore. Go
Yeah,
away.
go away,
No, it
Kefki.
is. No, it's okay. That's
Bye.
okay. I was teasing. Bye.
You smell like wood shavings.
Thank you for
and
having me on,
anxiety.
Strib.
Next time we'll have you on for
Have
longer.
fun. Bye, Kefki.
Okay, let's see. All right, so we've done all of the cute things at the beginning. Oh, this is going to be a real fun fest going forward. So, Super Predator Elizabeth Holmes, with good behavior, it turns out she's going to get out of prison about 2 years earlier than her sentence, which is unfortunate.
Imagine my shock.
I thought I had a good 12 years of not having to worry about her being out and about, but no.
Then she'll know. Harry, didn't you miss me, Harry?
Yeah.
Let's show up.
I'm going to get a battery pack with a 6-foot-long antenna that repels people like her. I know if Skep was here, he would be really annoyed because she should really be in jail for a long time. And the idea of her getting out earlier than her 11-year, 3-month sentence by a couple years just seems wrong to me. A lot of people lost a lot of their retirement funds putting their money into stuff like this, and she just out and out lied about it. I feel like she needs a deeper, darker hole that takes longer to climb out of, but anyway.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but like to me, something like that is, although by its physical enactment, there is no like violence, but to me it's violence because, or a type of violence because, like you said, there are people who lose retirement money, savings, whatever, and that affects their ability to survive in a lot of cases. And that this story just makes me, I'll take 9 years, but that's still not enough.
It's not enough of a deterrent because if you're in a position where you're like, lie to investors, maybe go to jail, or be fantastically rich, I don't really feel like this sentence deters anybody from doing what she did again. Seems like, oh, there's a good chance I'm going to get away with it, so why not? This isn't really a lesson
because we've heard about this stuff like happening for a while now, and these people get what equates to a slap on the wrist.
Well, it's as if she, picked up a gun, showed up at a few hundred retired people's houses, and took their retirement savings.
Yeah.
It's as if she committed a whole bunch of individual armed robberies. She just did it with the stroke of a pen.
As opposed to, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I said I equate it to a form of violence, even though the act itself is not like in execution violence. I mean, the end result is violence.
Yeah, I've had my hand in a few bullshit press releases before, and I've not felt particularly good about myself after it, but I've never done anything remotely... I mean, I've basically tried to polish a turd on more than a few occasions in a press release, but I've never committed anything that was fraud or anything even remotely like that, because I'm just too young and good looking to go to jail. No, I just wouldn't do it because it's the wrong thing to do. And
yeah, I mean, that's kind of my perception.
I don't look good in orange.
Even on Halloween?
Yeah.
It clashes. Actually, no, that's not true. Orange toned reds suit me much better. So, depending on the shade of orange.
I mean, it's kind of my perception, Harry, on why, I don't do bad things. Like, why I don't want to harm people or lie to people is because I don't want them to do it to me.
Yeah. The golden rule. It works pretty well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
it just really gets me.
9 years just feels a little light to me. Who knows? Maybe she'll get caught stealing like money from the cafeteria or something. I mean, we can just hope that there's something that ends up keeping her in there longer.
Or maybe Agatha will make her bitch.
Yeah, something like that.
Did she have her baby?
Yeah, well, she's got 2 of them. They're just not there. They're not prison
She has another
babies.
one?
That would be a
Cat
great.
turned on these?
That'd be a. Well, she had one, and then she had another one. Yeah.
Huh.
Not that I'm keeping track.
Okay.
All right, moving on. If you okay from Business Insider, if you left your cocaine at the White House, you're in the clear now. The Secret Service concluded their investigation into the cocaine bag without identifying any suspects. Associated Press reports no DNA or fingerprints were found on the bag. Surveillance footage in the area of the West Wing also was no help in finding the culprit. I know, I was shocked too. What do you Canadians think about this fine story?
I mean, I don't give a shit what kind of drugs you put in your body. I mean, that's your business, but I mean, it's still illegal. It's still kind of telling that it's magically there's no DNA, no fingerprints in the bag. Magically, you're magically delicious. It just magically showed up.
Yeah, you're conscientious enough to wear gloves and wipe down your cocaine bags, but not conscientious enough not to leave it outside, say, the Situation Room. Yeah. It's as if surveillance cameras associated with the law don't seem to be very effective. They don't seem to protect, I don't know, high-profile inmates from potentially suiciding themselves. And they don't seem to be particularly good at keeping people from bringing dangerous/illegal substances into the White House either. Gosh, if only there were some kinds of people that didn't get searched. I wonder who those people would be. Oh, well. As I was thinking about...
But no, seriously, I don't know. Like, who wouldn't... I mean, obviously, the president, vice president?
Yeah, are you
Would other members of the cabinet not be...
I don't know. I would assume that there's at least some sort of basic screening for nitrates and other types of things, sort of like TSA, or what you'd go through going into a courthouse. But, you know, if Joe Biden walks into a courthouse, nobody's going to wave that wand around him.
Right.
He's just going to go in.
But I mean, like, I'm thinking, like, that's kind of like the obvious, like, the commander-in-chief, his second, maybe chief of staff kind of things. But, like, would a congressperson or a delegate of some kind, whether it be what do you call your heads of states?
Governors?
A big
governor, like a visiting governor or a visiting foreign dignitary. With those kind of people, would they probably just get the lightest touch of just like a step through the metal detector kind of thing? Like, or are they getting searched? Or because I know your rank and file would definitely be searched.
Right.
Your rank and file staffers, I mean.
Well, I don't think anybody's making them drop trow and looking at looking at them, you know, with
looking in bags and such.
Checking to see if they've duct taped some coke underneath their gonads or something. It's
right.
They're not doing stop and frisk type of things on these people. I think mostly they're just making sure that there are no weapons being brought into the White House.
Yeah.
Which is a different kind of search.
Most concern.
Yeah. But as I was thinking about this, I was reminded of the board game Clue. Do you guys remember Clue?
Yes.
Yes.
And so I thought I'd dig up the commercial and then of course enhance it a bit.
A detective has to be observant, cautious, and cool. When you play Clue, you have to figure out who did it. There are suspects, weapons, and scenes for a crime.
Mr. Green did it in the study.
I'm going to go with Hunter in the room outside the Situation Room. That's what I'm thinking.
Hunter in the Situation Room toilet with the baggie.
Yeah.
And the Coke spoon. See, Nixie agrees.
Yeah.
You can always trust a cat.
I'm pretty sure that your average Clue board game enthusiast could probably solve this cocaine mystery if they really wanted to. This just doesn't seem like it should be that hard. Kind of like, like Epstein, we can't tell what happened with Epstein because the security cameras just happened to go down at that time. It's like, come on, really? I mean, at a certain point, things just don't pass the sniff test. And then people kind of go, okay, well, this is ridiculous. And then after a few days, we just don't care, which is why they never do anything about this stuff. Because ultimately, I don't think anybody gives a damn. I mean, I know I don't, and it doesn't sound like either of you guys do. I think the issue is that it's the unequal enforcement of the law that we care about. Because most of us know that if it was us taking cocaine into a federal building, that we would be in a very dark hole for a very long time. But somehow they're just going to cover for whoever did it here.
Yeah.
It's just the hypocrisy of it that's so glaringly terrible.
And funny enough, it's the one thing I agree with BLM on in that, yeah, the equal enforcement of specifically drug laws to, you know, regular folk versus the protected class.
Yeah,
that's why like I said, I don't give a shit what substances you want to put in your body. Like, I don't really give a shit if Joe Biden was smoking crack. I don't care. In fact, I come from a city where the mayor had photo evidence of him smoking crack from 10 years before, and I didn't give a shit because was he doing a good job? Yes, that's all I cared about. Can you do your fucking job?
I need to be able to highlight comments. Raymond Lewis, them doing a sniff test is why nobody will get charged with having possessed that substance. 10 points to Gryffindor. Okay.
I think if they found some, you know, random firearm with the serial number shaved down or something, I think then I would care a little bit more, going, huh, someone snuck that into the White House with a bag of coke.
Well, more fantastic news. There's an institution on the West Coast, Anchor Brewing Company. And many people say that historically speaking, it was the first microbrewery in the country. It's over 100-something years old. Turns out it's going away, which is annoying as hell.
That's a shame.
San Francisco's iconic Anchor Brewing closing the doors on its 127-year-old tap room. Dozens of employees given that news just this morning. KTVU's Alice Wertz live tonight in San Francisco with what's ahead here in the final days for Anchor. And Alice, difficult day for this San Francisco staple.
Yes, a very sad day here in Potrero Hill and all over the San Francisco Bay Area. As folks learned, the Anchor Steam Brewing Company is going to cease operations immediately, sell off the rest of its beer, and hope that everyone's going to be okay. It started in 1896, one of the country's oldest steam beer breweries right here in San Francisco. But economic conditions, a costly brewing process, and a highly competitive market post-pandemic has made it tough to stay afloat.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about an institution that's been around for so long that they actually employ a historian whose whole job is to just keep track of the history of the company. And it's a microbrewery. I actually bought some of their beer just the other day to put in a steak and ale pie because I thought it would be a good substitute for what would normally be used, which would be like Old Speckled Hen or something like that. And because it's got a really good flavor profile, but they've sort of been on the verge of going bankrupt on multiple occasions. Back in the 60s, I think it was the early 60s, a guy named Fritz Maytag, heir to the Maytag appliance fortune, actually bought this place and ran it for about 30-something years and did a fantastic job with it. He expanded it and opened up Anchor Distilling, and they made he put together a reproduction of George Washington's still and produced a whiskey called, it's Old Potrero 18th Century. And it's 130 proof in the version that I like. It's like just like old George liked to drink. And during this time, they would put out like special edition beers, like a Christmas ale, that was like this really heavy, very heavily spiced sort of thing that you would only have on the holidays. And even people who wouldn't drink Anchor beer the rest of the time, you would go out and you would get your bottles of Christmas beer, and it was just a thing that people did for like forever. So it's annoying because it's not just that Sapporo bought them. Oh, by the way, Fritz decided to go off and become an artisanal cheesemaker because, you know, career number 3 for him. Why not? But, you know, arguably there are better beers out there because there's so much craft beer in the world, just in Oregon alone, that I guess in the big scheme of things, it kind of doesn't matter if Anchor Steam goes out of business after all this time. But, and I normally don't give a crap about San Francisco businesses going out of business because I just think they sort of deserve it. But this one does actually kind of annoy me just a little bit, especially considering that I had some of it just the other day and thought, I need to drink this more often. This is actually really good. Yeah, so not really sure where I'm going with this, but it's just the whole thing about craft. Craft anything, craft furniture, craft food, craft beer. In the modern scene, it's hard to make something like this and have it be financially viable just because everything is so expensive. You know, you got to give people days off and healthcare, and there's all the regulation and the insurance, and you got to bribe all the inspectors. There's just so many things that you have to do. It would be a real shame if 10 years from now, a lot of the craft things that you guys enjoy were all gone. That's my big concern. I mean, because, yeah, I'm sad about this, but I'm in the bigger sense kind of worried about this as part of a general trend.
Yeah, yeah. Because if a company after 127 years that's been such a, like, you know, institution in that part of the world is got to close its doors, what chance do a lot of the other small businesses have?
Yeah, survive the 1906 earthquake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Survived the Depression.
Survived the Great Depression. Survived all sorts of things. And I can't help but think that COVID probably hurt things. There was an announcement a couple weeks ago, we almost talked about it, that they were going to stop exporting beer outside of California because 70% of their sales are in California. Okay, so they were going to cut costs by not exporting outside of California. Okay, fine. I can live with that. That seems like a good business decision. But then 2 weeks later, it's like, yeah, no, screw it. You know, we're just going to quit. So how many other things are going to go away, you know, including the artisanal cheesemakers? Because a lot of there's like the day-to-day stuff you buy, and then there's sort of the special occasion stuff. Like a big old block of cheddar cheese will make a lot of grilled cheese sandwiches, but every now and then you want like the fancy shit. I don't know. I'm just sort of thinking out loud here. I don't know what sort of craft things you guys like to enjoy.
Well, for me, this is it was a very young company out of Seattle called Pyramid.
Oh, yeah.
They made an apricot beer that I only got to try a couple of times because they stopped sending it to Canada. And it was only imported, like only very like expensive boutique liquor stores here had them. It was the best apricot ale I've ever had. Like, it was delicious. Apricot's my favorite fruit, so for me it was just amazing. And they're closed. They're gone now.
They are? That's amazing, because I actually, I don't know, 20 years ago went to I've actually been to Pyramid Brewing in Washington State, and they had one in Berkeley, California, of all places, and I remember going there. I had a big old honkin' analog Motorola cell phone strapped to my hip at the time. So that's how I can date what year it was. Because I remember...
They shut down in January 8, 2021.
I wasn't the person driving, but I'd had maybe one more than I should have, and I did a Biden, and I actually slipped and smashed my cell phone on the railing.
Oh.
I know. Clumsy me. Had to get a new cell phone. Oh, well. Oh, speaking of apricots, I have apricots in my backyard. It's the first crop out of these new trees that I planted. And I come home and I want to eat my apricots. About half of them are gone, and one of them's been chewed on. And it's like, I've got bird netting over it, so I think it might be Nigel's. I'm not pleased.
Well, as someone who has a sour cherry tree, and we literally have to eat them half ripe, because otherwise we would never get to eat cherries. I feel you.
You do realize this means war. I'm going to put like those disc things that they can't climb over around the trunks next time, and measures will be taken. There's a device you can get that actually you put bait in it, and they crawl around on the ground. Like, you can attach it to the fence, and they'll stick their heads in trying to get the bait, and then a pneumatic plunger puts like smashes their head, and then they fall out of the trap, and it just does it over and over again. It's just like a serial rat destruction device, and it also goes after squirrels. I'm tempted to get one. I'm annoyed. I've been looking forward to these apricots.
Get a snake. Get
pet
a snake.
snake.
Put the snake in the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Problem solved.
Maybe I just need a good ratter.
Just
a good dog that's a ratter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as someone who has dogs who are supposed to be ratters, 2 of them, it's 50-50. One might be a good ratter, but if you get 2, right? So you never know what you're going to get. The other one would make friends because he would be scared to go after the rat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes animals look out the back door and they just go, "Oh, is that friend-shaped?" And then they just decide that that's like, yeah, dogs are stupid. I love them, but they're dumb. Let's see. Balsa wood is a hardwood. Did I know that? Oh, thanks, Jack.
See, Frosted agrees. Tree snakes solve everything.
Okay. What if I put a laser on the snake? Then
Sorry, I read something else you said in chat.
laser snakes. Yeah.
I missed it. It's on Betamax.
Yeah.
We're bringing back the old forms.
Betamax was king. Okay. Let's see. What else have we got here? Oh God. Let's see. Well, we can't do that because Skep's not here. So we will just move on. Oh, speaking of Oakland, remember I like to complain about how much I hate Oakland?
Yes.
There's a 911 calling crisis, and in Oakland, it's far worse than any other city or even county in the state. One man tells us that he had to wait more than 10 minutes to talk to a dispatcher. In another case, an Oakland police officer was stabbed, and his 911 calls failed to connect. Investigative reporter Candace Wynn brings this issue to city leaders.
I mean, basically, the 911 system in Oakland doesn't work because they can't seem to hire enough people and the phones are busted and everything. It's like, it falls under the category of you have one job. You know, public safety is like one of the few things that libertarians like me, well, small L libertarians, I'm not actually registered as one, would actually agree on. It's like, when I call 911, I expect somebody to actually show up. Police, fire, whatever, right? And when the cops get stabbed, called 911 because they need an ambulance, and the phone system doesn't work, I think you know you've reached rock bottom.
Yeah.
What ended up happening was his buddies actually collected him, put him in the back of a squad car, and ended up driving him to the hospital themselves.
Jesus.
Because 911 didn't work. I really don't like the city of Oakland.
Yeah.
Like
it's as one of my personal favorites, Public Enemy said, 911 is a joke in Yo Town. It's prophetic.
Yeah. Was he in Oakland? Was he a West Coast rapper?
Yes, they were definitely in California. But I mean, it's kind of been a running theme, obviously, in certain, how should we put this, poorer communities, that 911 is kind of a joke. Up here, it can be.
Well, gosh, I must be one just painfully white and middle class because I've only called 911 a few times in my life, and it worked exactly the way it was supposed to every single time. So to hear that it did anything other than what it was supposed to do to me is kind of shocking. These cities are worried about all sorts of things, and they're giving all this money to the teachers in Oakland, and they're doing all this crap. But it's like, you got to handle your basic business first. Stuff like 911 needs to actually function. Otherwise, there's no point in the city even existing.
Yeah.
Just,
and I understand that they have to go. They react based on, you know, the need of the emergency. So yeah, like if you're stabbed, or in my case, somebody breaking into the front door with a drill in your apartment lock, you would expect that they are there, you know, lickety split, like, you know, violence going on. 911 should be, you know, there in an instant. And again, in my case, it's just been the one time. The other times with 911 has been fine. I think I've called 3 times. But yeah, somebody was drilling the locks out of my door. I called 911. 20 minutes. Luckily, I had means to defend myself, and I let the person drilling the door know that if the door opens, they will be facing hot lead. And so the drilling stopped, and they didn't leave. Stupid of them, but 15-20 minutes later, when the cops actually showed up, the cops ended up doing nothing because nothing actually took place. I'm like, are you kidding me? They literally are breaking and entering.
How is that nothing?
In the act.
How is that nothing? The fact that they failed doesn't mean that they're any less guilty.
Well,
I even said, look, I want to press charges. They said no.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
The cops said no. I'm like, okay.
Well, here, there was an incident where a guy was having, I don't know if he was faking a mental health crisis or was in the midst of a mental health crisis. He was going downtown swinging a hammer. Brought in the middle of the day, busy street.
Yeah.
According to the news, it was I remember there was multiple calls to 911, and every time they were explaining this, oh, has he hit anyone? No. Okay. Then no crime has taken place, so nobody will be dispatched.
Yeah, well,
So,
once somebody's
what are
actually
you
hurt,
supposed
will
to
come
do?
out. Yeah.
Yeah, but then nothing would happen here because we once called. So from my work, across the street, a building that was going to be torn down. We noticed some people breaking in the middle of the day. They managed to get into the building, and it looks like they were stripping it of stuff, right? It was empty already, but most likely they were either causing damage or whatever. So we keep noticing this, and we're like, you know what? Let's call non-emergency, okay? Out of duty, whatever, because we have no idea what they're going to do, what they're doing in there, could be dangerous, etc. Turns out they had eyes on them. There was a undercover cop just watching that the whole day. And what did they do? They go in there, ask the people to come out. They handcuff them, talk to them for 2 minutes. There's 3 squad cars. They open the handcuffs and let them go. And the guys just go back and do whatever they were doing inside the empty building. I was okay. I guess that's it. So, I mean, I wasn't expecting them to put him in prison, but at the very least, have someone stand there, tell them to get the hell away, and confiscate whatever it is they're stealing. Maybe even actually take him downtown or something like that. But no.
Yeah, for a little overnight visit into in a jail cell or something. Yeah.
Honestly, looking at them from what I remember, it probably would have been helpful for them to be inside, but
Yeah, it's like we said with the Theranos thing, Harry. If there's no deterrent, then or if the deterrent isn't enough, then you're basically giving a free pass for people to be criminals and dicks.
Yeah. Well, I've been recently looking at beefing up my own security in terms of doors and stuff, and it turns out there are a number of relatively inexpensive things you can do to make a door more secure. Because it'd be nice to not have to exercise, one's Second Amendment rights unnecessarily. And, sometimes you're not home. So making it so at least you might not be absolutely secure, but being more secure than the house next door is certainly a step in the right direction. So in addition to alarm systems and stuff, you can actually beef up doors pretty easily. I mean, half of it's just reinforcing the parts that tend to break. And that can be like he's doing, putting a steel strip on one side of the door jamb. But also, even just spending $1 to go get longer screws, those little inch screws that come with, like the strike plate and stuff on the doors, replace those with 3 4-inch screws, costs you like $1. It's absolutely cheap to do. very, very simple. You know, for like $10, you can get a strike plate that's a little better. Or if you have a door that's a regular lock with a deadbolt combination, there's ways you can get larger strike plates that basically span the two of them. So it's just more metal connected to more spots. And it won't make your door impenetrable, but it'll just make it a lot harder for somebody to just walk up to, kick it in with one kick, come in, take all your stuff, and be gone before the police show up. You just need that level of stuff. And home ownership is a pain in the ass because the bad thing about having shit is people want to come and take it. So what are you going to do? Well, spending $1 on some screws and 15 minutes with a drill driver is not that big an investment. Just do it. And go around your house and figure all the other stuff. There's also a hack that they can do that makes it really easy to break into garages with roll-up doors that have garage doors openers associated with them. You can essentially use like a coat hanger to fish through and grab the the thing that's like the release for when, for the manual release on the door. There's just little stuff like that that you need to do. I don't know. Why are we talking about this? We were talking about something else. Oh yeah, 911. Yeah. Second Amendment, reinforce your doors and windows, neighborhood watch. There's a lot of things you can do. But if the police aren't going to show up when you call, that just makes all that other stuff that much more important.
Yeah.
I would suggest living in an area that has separate police from your regular police.
Separate police from regular police?
It's more of a Canadian thing. Because I live under federal protected area.
Yeah.
So we don't have city police where I am. They connect you in like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when we moved into this apartment, I noticed that they reinforced the unit doors with the steel plating on both sides, the frame and the door, just to make it that much harder. And I learned also later from a friend who's a fire inspector that it also helps with containing fires in units of these old buildings that are like solid concrete.
We only want you to die, not anybody else.
Well, I mean, if there is a fire in the apartment, you don't want it getting out into the hallway and spreading to other units. So they reinforce the door so that even if the fire is like burning the steel, it's not going to get through, or it'll have a much harder time to get through. And yeah, it also works on people not being able to drill out what you would normally do. And again, I learned this from somebody who deals with this stuff. Is it's easier to drill out the side of the wall, like the door frame, to get through the deadbolt lock than it is the actual lock itself. So when you put that steel plating on both sides, they're gonna have a lot of stuff to drill through.
Yeah.
And by that time, one of your neighbors are gonna be like, "What the hell's that noise? What the fuck are you doing drilling into somebody's unit?" And then hopefully call the super and or 911.
It's not my business. I don't want to be that neighbor. I'm just going to let it be, keep my nose to myself, is what the neighbor is going to say.
My neighbors are pretty damn good. We all actually look out for each other.
It's different. It's so far for us, it's fine. A really good friend of mine, her neighborhood is turning more and more into rentals only. And that's
it's never good.
That's bad because they don't care. It's not that the neighborhood is unclean or anything. Everything is still maintained, but they are not as interested in making connections with their neighbors like when the old homeowners still lived in the properties and stuff. They are basically, we're here, we're renting, we're going to work. Kids are going to school. Don't talk to us. We're not interested, and becomes very isolating.
Yeah. So functional, does this make you angry? Essentially using store-bought yogurt to make more yogurt in one pass. This was sent to me in efforts to annoy you, and I basically predicted that it wouldn't annoy you, but everybody else seems to think it does.
I think so, because this seems akin to like when you have vegetable waste, food waste, avocado pits, fruit pits, whatever. You replant them, right?
No.
To make more.
No.
Why not?
Why not? Well, okay, I'm going to give you the...
You're using the cultures from the plain yogurt to spread and into the whole milk.
See, I think that makes way more sense. Let me tell you why you don't do the thing with the fruit seeds. Go ahead, Sora.
No, I was going to say, no. This is more of this comes apparently from this cooking appliance. It's a recipe that came with the cooking appliance, like in the recipe book that comes with it. So, like, they actually call for you to get 2 quarts of milk and 1.5 cups plain yogurt, and just make it into more yogurt.
Is it this appliance?
I don't know. It's a black screen. Yes, it is. I think so.
Yeah. Well, Zojirushi, or if that's how it's pronounced, they make good stuff. I have like one of their rice cookers for 20, 30 years. It's super old. It has neurofuzzy on it. It actually says that. And I guess that's back when fuzzy logic was a thing that people knew about. But their English is not very good sometimes, so it just says neurofuzzy.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I like that.
And damn, that thing works. I have a number of their thermoses and things. I've never found a product from this company that isn't good. And the nice thing about their thermos is not made in China. You know how hard it is to find a thermos that's not made in China? It's really hard.
Is it made in Japan?
I think it's actually made in, I can't remember if it was Thailand or Malaysia. But the important thing is not China. My cell phone's made in Japan. My last several cell phones have been made in Japan because I'm serious about this stuff. I don't buy a lot of crap made in China. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of stubbornness to not buy stuff made in China. I got to tell you, it's a real uphill fight. Okay, so this doesn't bother you, right?
No, not really.
Okay. Well, what about...
Why am I wrong with the fruit seeds?
Okay, the reason why you're wrong with the fruit seeds is because that's not how fruit trees that produce food are made. So, for instance, many of those things are hybrids, and planting the seeds from those will not go the way you think it's going to go. That's thing one. Thing number two is many trees are grafted, and so the rootstock of the tree may be different than what the fruiting part of the tree is. And if you were to plant that in the ground and get more of the thing that you just ate, you might end up with something that would really not thrive very well, especially in the conditions where you live. And of course, that's the third thing. Just because food was brought to you and you ate it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to grow very well where you live. I find these people that take carrot tops and replant them and replant onion tops, I see those videos and go, okay, sure. But I think I would just plant fresh carrot seeds at that point. But the main thing is that propagating a lot of food crops by replanting the seeds doesn't work all that well in a lot of cases. That's the short answer.
Because I swear I've done it with cucumbers, pumpkins, and an avocado before.
Yeah, it's fruits that are more of an issue. But a lot of those things are at least F1 hybrids that you're dealing with. So depending on what type of species you're dealing with, you may find some really interesting things happen as it sort of fractionates itself back into the things that were in the cross. Because you're going to get two things that were cross, and then one thing that's a totally different thing, and another thing that's a totally different thing.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Which, may actually be really interesting. But, yeah. Science. Gregor Mendel. All right, what were we doing? Let's see.
Yogurt?
More food
Trying
things.
to upset functional.
Okay, what about this? DIY
does that
ketchup
work?
ice
Did
pops.
that work?
Did what work?
Does the yogurt thing work?
It should.
Like spreading the cultures in the milk, and it makes it more okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
So you can make your own ketchup ice pops. In Canada, French's release ketchup ice pops. Yeah. Ketchup, tomato juice, lime juice, hot sauce, and Tajin until smooth. What's
Tajin?
Tajin.
Or
I didn't know
tahine,
that was.
I guess.
I didn't know that
tahine.
was
Sorry, it's tahine.
spelled that way.
It's the citric acid thing. It's like slightly sour and salty. It's very good. I finally found some here.
Sounds very artisanal.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really into like Bloody Marys and Caesars, this would be like, but I'd rather drink my Caesar than have an ice pop of it.
Okay, fine. Okay, we made the healthy Coke that people can't stop talking about. Here's what we thought.
Healthy Coke?
Yeah.
It's balsamic vinegar and seltzer water.
You're lying.
That's what it is.
This is not the thing I clicked on. What the hell? TikTok, go home. You're drunk. Okay. Thought I was going to get Pastor Manning there for a moment. Okay.
No, are you serious? It's fucking...
Yeah, no, that's what it is. It's balsamic vinegar and like they use the plain LaCroix in that particular recipe. So just fizzy water.
I use pretty high grade balsamic vinegar. This would not be a cheap drink for me. I mean, really good balsamic vinegar is actually really sweet and delicious on things like strawberries, for instance. Just kind of drizzle it on there if you've got the good stuff.
Or with chocolate.
Or with chocolate, but
balsamic soda?
Yeah.
But it's worse because drink number 2, they used lots of balsamic and berry LaCroix. So like that fake berry taste, that's disgusting. Can you imagine that mixed?
That sounds pretty terrible.
Fake berry taste that comes from, what is it, skunk anus or? No, beaver anus.
What about this? Flamin' hot Cheeto salad.
Maybe.
Maybe
I could do that.
Okay.
This is more like high food, you know? Like if you read the ingredients, it sounds like something, you know, you're cooking a little bit.
I found that in making like a taco salad, I replaced the regular tortilla bits for Doritos, and it's actually dude, it's fucking amazing. And I have never gone back. As actually my best friend in high school, his wife, who turned me on to that, and I was like, "This is a game changer," because not only are you getting those sweet, salty, little crispy bits in the salad, but they're like, everybody's had Doritos; those things are like packed with flavor.
Yeah.
So you're getting like little bombs of Dorito taste in with this taco salad. It's
yeah, I would try that actually. That sounds really tasty.
It's really good. So that, I mean.
So, but this is just a bag of flaming hot Cheetos with some
like
cilantro, and cucumber.
No.
Yeah, no. All right, so you guys are familiar with Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks, right?
Yes.
Giant liberal pain in the ass. Well, in the last few months, something strange has been happening with Anna. Liberal commentator rages over cost of California's electric car shift. It's like these people just sort of go on about their little liberal business until one day they wake up and realize that there are consequences of these things. And in her case, she was like, how much money is it going to cost to allow people to charge their cars at the condos where I live? Wait, what? The reality of it starts to kick in when you realize what's going on. And then later, she got a little bit annoyed about people trying to call her a birthing person. She's like, no, I'm actually a woman. You know, that's what Anna was saying. And she got branded as being a TERF and all this other sort of nonsense. So you go forward just a little bit further, and now on Rising, we've got this thing that happened just recently.
Young Turks' Anna Kasparian is catching heat for saying she has left the left.
I'm going through something very real and very sincere, and it's uncomfortable, and it has not been an enjoyable process for me. It's been difficult. And so the internet being what it is, all sorts of people from all sorts of political ideologies have theories on like what's actually happening with me, right? And the main accusation, both from the left and the right, is that I'm grifting, which is hilarious because literally nothing has changed about my work life. I'm in the same place. I have the same audience. The audience doesn't like some of what I have to say or some of the new conclusions I've come to. And so I wanted to kind of set the record straight about what I have personally experienced.
Well, I mean, we know she's got some pretty good cognitive dissonance chops working. She's on the Young Turks, and there's the whole thing about the Armenian genocide that they don't talk about at the company parties. And she's had to deal with Chunk and had to deal with all of this sort of stuff. And I kind of believe her when she says she hasn't actually moved. She probably hasn't. It's just the left just keeps getting further and further into crazy land. And they've finally left her behind to the point where I guess Anna Kasparian is now almost center. If I'm reading this correctly.
I completely disagree.
Okay.
I think these latest statements are a complete, in the context of what she's talking about, a complete 180. Because for the longest time, she's been preaching how people need to have the cat get down. Need to get these
bad cat
Green New Deal things, and she doesn't care how much it's going to cost the city or the state or people's homes. Like, they need to get it done. The birthing person thing, she, not 2 months before that whole clip went viral, she was talking about how you need to oh God, what was it exactly that she said? That people who do not respect people's pronouns maybe shouldn't go to prison, but they should face some legal recourse, probably in civil court or something. So basically, she was saying that if you do not call a complete stranger what they wish to be called, that they can then turn around and sue you. So no, she's just playing fucking damage control. She's been playing damage control for about the last year and a half so that she can be marketable for the next place that she goes, because she is 1 foot out of the door at TYT, and everybody fucking knows it. They have something like 5 million subscribers. They're lucky to get like 1,000 or 2,000 on a video. And that's including all the people who use them as the irrelevant lol cows that they are, just to pull their shit apart and meme on them. And it's no shock that she's going on shows like Bitch and Adam, because Sitch is exactly like her. Sitch is the exact same type of person who will deride you for doing something or saying something, like, oh, I don't know, blatantly calling people like Devin Tracy a Nazi and a racist. But then when he's challenged on those kinds of statements, will then turn around and ignore like any kind of response or not make any sort of response to it. So she is infamous for doing that. Anybody who's seen any of her content on TYT can see that's exactly what happens. And yes, I am one of those masochists. I do watch a lot of TYT, so I can fucking just laugh my ass off at how freaking absurd these people are. The problem is that there are quite a few people, and I'm pretty sure they're not bots on social media, that do say and repeat these things. And yeah, I mean, I honestly can see her being the next twit on The Hill, or what's another garbage sort of like left channel, like MSNPC or something. Like maybe not as big as MSNPC. I think she wishes that, but like, come on.
Yeah, MSNPC is an amazing piece of crap. Let me see if I can find.
The Hill had some of my respect and had an inkling of legitimacy before they fired what's her name and brought on Brianna Greyjoy, who didn't pay the iron price.
No. So this was an MSNBC article, not from too far back. This is from March of 2022, but it still stands. Pandemic fitness trends have gone extreme, literally. This is an article basically trying to say, oh, are you trying to get in shape at home? You might be far right.
You might be a white supremacist.
The U.S. is comparatively far behind, which will only become more and more problematic, especially since the phenomenon is growing in the country, building on the established Fight Club culture of MMA far-right extremists. The leader of a Maryland skinhead group, for example, once ran a gym to recruit and train white supremacists in mixed martial arts. 4 members are associates of the racist, violent Rise Above movement. The self-described premier MMA club for the alt-right pled guilty, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that it's like saying, let's see, starfish are invertebrates, therefore all invertebrates are starfish. No, they're not.
Exactly.
What difference does it make? I mean,
It's
ultimately,
the Hitler drank water analogy.
It's just
it's
lazy.
completely nonsensical. It's stupid. It's very lazy.
Well, this is an oblique stab at people like Joe Rogan. They hate the fact that Joe Rogan is killing them in the ratings and in relevancy and in every other thing that matters.
And influence.
So all they want to do is make Joe Rogan and his brand worth less. And they don't mention him in this article, but you know they really wanted to. They think it's sneakier to lay the foundation and then come at him in the follow-up.
Yeah, because they want you, the people, to be lazy and uninspired and unhealthy so that they can consistently profit off of you. It's like when we were looking at RFK Jr.'s, some might say cringe health video. I'm like, no, when someone like Rogan has that much influence, people get inspired by his fitness journey. People get inspired by watching him at, how old is he now? Kick a fucking punching bag and watching the thing like shake so hard that he is in such great shape. Like, I looked at that RFK video and, you said, some people might find it cringy. I was like, no, man, I want that in a leader. Look at our little pretty hair soy boy prime minister here. I'd much rather have someone like an RFK or Joe Rogan looking motherfucker who will get up on stage and go, you're all lazy, you're all fat, get off the fucking couch and start lifting something. Good night, Because, no, I would honestly, literally have heard Joe Rogan basically muttering similar words to people. Like when they're talking about fitness to some of his guests, he literally says, yeah, people need to just get the fuck off the couch and pick something up. It's not hard. Anybody can do it. You have heavy shit around the house. Start lifting it.
Yeah.
Okay. And because, healthy people, well-to-do people, mentally stable people, they generally need less help from mommy and daddy teat from the government.
Yeah. No,
And yeah, when they say this, that they can then disparage the people who want you to make good choices in your life. Like, love him or hate him, I'm not particularly a fan of Andrew Tate, but he sells a good message every once in a while. Yeah, be in shape. Yeah, be a man. Whatever a man means to you, be a man.
This was my introduction to Joe Rogan. Back. Look at how young he is. Look at. He's practically just a baby. This was before Fear Factor, before all that stuff.
Yeah.
This was on News Radio.
An actor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was him on News Radio, and he was funny. This was actually one of my all-time favorite shows. All 4 seasons of it.
Yeah, and he was the funniest one on the show. I don't care what anybody says. He was
I wouldn't say that. It was a pretty strong ensemble. Phil Hartman was damn funny on this show.
Yeah. But every time he came on screen to do his like dumb kind of character thing, but he was dumb, but he was wise. It was just
Come on, dude.
Right.
We had Stephen Root, who's amazing. We had Andy Dick, who troubled individual, but freaking hilarious. Joe Rogan actually was only kind of learning the trade in this. He was, in some ways, the weaker one there. Candy Alexander was great. Phil Hartman was great. Dave Foley was one of the kids in the hall. He's great. And Maura Tierney, not really a comic actress, she did a fantastic job too. And Vicki Lewis is sort of the wacky redhead. She was fantastic. I love this show, but I only pretend there's 4 seasons. There was 1 season without Phil Hartman after he died, and I just pretend that didn't happen. I mean, John Lovitz stepped in because, he was actually friends with Phil Hartman in real life, but it's just not the same. You just can't. Why they even tried to bring it back for a 5th season was just dumb. But yeah, Joe Rogan, look how really not like bulked up he was. Look how young.
Dude, he looks like me. He looks like Andy Dick. Like, look at that.
He's just a kid.
I mean, he's obviously, he's not like Andy Dick kind of wiry skinny, but I mean, he is very skinny compared to what.
But it's proof that, you know, if you can get jacked at any age. I mean, that's
really.
the thing. You can be
All
jacked
you
at
gotta do is
RFK Jr.'s age. You can get jacked in your 50s. It's like I guess that's one of the good things about being a dude. If you just want to put the time in, you can get jacked. Right? I mean, maybe some people can't, but I mean, most people, if you're in decent health, there's nothing stopping you. It's a hobby. Or you could put that time into building a canoe. I don't know. It got very quiet. Are you still there?
I'm just reading what chat was saying. Yeah.
Okay. What is chat saying?
Oh, just, you know, like physical fitness and where's it? Jack was saying leftist. Physical fitness is a superficial quality and unrelated to leadership. Physical fitness is a sign of discipline and that you have your own life in order and are ready to lead others potentially. Exactly. Exactly. That's why, you know, if you're going into the, like, just as an example, you're going into the military, your drill sergeant should look like he will fuck you up like dynamite. Like, the dude should be able and ready and willing to put your ass on the ground to show you, you know, jack shit. I am your boss. I am your god for all of your concern until you're done in my boot camp, mister. And
He's going to tell you he's the daddy and you're going
oh, no. Yeah, maybe these days.
Yeah. Well, you
I
didn't
identify as fucking you.
You didn't believe it with Anna Kasparian, but there's a Georgia Democrat who, she's actually defected to the GOP, and you're thinking, why? This is this woman right here. She just basically said, when I decided to stand up on behalf of disadvantaged children in support of school choice, my Democrat colleagues didn't stand by me. Yeah, she committed the unthinkable sin of thinking that maybe like black kids in bad neighborhoods should actually get a decent education by whatever means necessary. And that's the one thing you're just not allowed to do. You're just not allowed to do it because you get kicked out of the church. It's not a big tent party. They really are a uniparty at this point.
So I'm confused. So what was the problem with her saying that? Like,
she's a Democrat. You can't be a Democrat and stand for school choice. You have to want children to be forced to go to public school and indoctrinated and given an inferior education.
Party, Sora, is that anything that the GOP is in favor of, no matter how reasonable or sensible or provable of a benefit it could be, they are immediately against it.
Yeah.
Oh, so for example, if one of those impoverished children happens to be very bright and can have a scholarship somewhere, like to a better school district or whatever, they shouldn't take it because they should be with everybody else in their own school catchment.
Well, what they don't want is taking any money from school choice. Usually involves, well, we've already paid taxes. Can we get some kind of voucher that we basically represents the tax money that we paid for the education we're not using to go apply to some private school? And this is where the Board of Education's like, fine, we don't care if you leave as long as we still get your money. That's what the public schools want to do with Randy Weingarten and that whole crowd. They don't want competition in the form of charter schools, and they do not want parents having the ability to leave and take their federal tax dollars with them. These are the two things that, as a Democrat, you can't do it. But she made the comment, for far too long, the Democrat Party has gotten away with using and abusing the black community. She added, for decades, the Democrat Party has received the support of more than 90% of the black community. And what do they have to show for it? I represent a solidly blue district in the city of Atlanta. This isn't a political decision for me. It's a moral one. In all likelihood, she will probably not get reelected because she's going to have an R next to her name instead of a D. But I guess we'll find out. I mean, I think she did the right thing. And I don't see how you can argue that this is in her best interest. So she's not working the system like you claimed with Anna Kasparian. I mean, she's clearly making a moral stand because politically this seems like suicide.
Maybe, but it is a trend. It has been happening a lot in the last 2 years, I want to say. There were 3 lawmakers this year that went from Dems that are registered as Republicans now There was here, I have the article here. 4 Democrat lawmakers in West Virginia, Louisiana, North Carolina switched parties. Megan Hunt, Nebraska State Senator. Sorry, it just kind of jumped on me because I got an ad. I had it by time. Okay, so Melinda White from Louisiana, Betsy Johnson from Oregon, Tulsi Gabbard, a famous one, 2022, left the party. Ben Robinson, Oklahoma State Senator, left the party. Megan Hunt in 2023. Like, I mean, it's a trend, and it's good. It's showing just how dog shit the Democratic Party has become. I mean, I'm of the belief that you should have 2 strong parties. It, like everything, like school choice, like open markets, it allows for the competition even within a governmental structure that you're going to compete with in the arena of ideas, not the arena of propaganda. And the propaganda isn't working. State Senator Kevin Paiolia of Colorado left. Samuel Thompson of New Jersey left. And like, you know, a handful of Republicans left, but that was mostly due to they didn't want to be associated with Trump, and even a couple independents went Republican. Doesn't have the names here, but I remember reading articles on that not too long ago. I think it actually was probably 2022. But yeah, it seems to be a trend that the Republican Party and even the Libertarians are gaining a lot of traction in comparison to the Democrats, and that's why, you know, allegedly, I don't believe that the last election was entirely above board.
Yeah, I'm going back and looking at the chat, and Colin Brohannon, a new name to me. Sorry if I haven't noticed it before, but that's good. Dave Dana is more inspiring than Joe Rogan. There was a comment, I guess it just sort of scrolled away. Somebody was saying it was more about pharmaceuticals than time at the gym. And I think we were talking about RFK Jr. Yeah, so, I mean, it used to be fairly common when women would go into menopause that you'd just throw estrogen at them, you know, so they'd simmer down. It's like, yeah. Woman, stop talking about your hot flashes. Here, have some Premarin. Just, you know, are you warm now? Fine. Okay, we just throw estrogen at them. The problem is that that can cause a number of problems with cancer risk and a bunch of other things. I mean, it fixes some things, it causes some other issues. In the case of men, waning testosterone levels are not a good thing, especially in these younger men. And there are things that you can take. If you actually follow Huberman from Huberman Lab, he talks about a lot of the things that you can take to sort of keep, you know, your testosterone levels higher, like Fedoja agrestis and Tonkat Ali, and there's a few other things that people can take that will sort of naturally boost testosterone as people get older. That's not in lieu of the gym. That's so that when you go to the gym, you actually feel motivated to do stuff. And a lot of, you know, like rich douchebags, mostly, I mean, they're good guys. I'm just calling them rich douchebags. Like Tom Segura, you know, he's a comedian and he's making those big Netflix bucks. So he's, you know, he's sticking a needle in his butt once a week and shooting testosterone in there. And what you're getting is you're keeping more muscle mass, you're aging a lot more gracefully, but you're trading it for just a little bit of cancer risk. So if you start getting bad PSA antigen numbers, then you need to lay off that stuff. But I don't think RFK Jr. having testosterone supplementation is really that big a deal. I mean, it's not like these Viagra junkies running around these old folks' homes spreading chlamydia everywhere. It's not that kind of hack. It's just like, you want to age more gracefully? Okay, take your supplements, get a shot. I mean, if you need it, if they have low testosterone levels, what's wrong with supplementing it? Any more so than what's wrong with women taking estrogen supplements if they have some aging-related thing. I don't have a problem with it. I just, as long as you understand what the risk is that you're taking.
The reverse is kind of disgusting And I have some personal experience with that because back when I was a rambunctious preteen teenage boy with the hormones flying and the high T through the fucking roof, they wanted to. I remember a trend that they were putting boys on testosterone suppressants to lower their T levels so they'd be more manageable instead of just letting them burn it off.
Wow.
A friend of mine
Ranch.
went on them.
Just go to the ranch. Just go to Dr. Phil's ranch and just
what
run
I did.
it off.
I went to the farm and I started lifting heavy fucking bales of hay every day and buckets of water on my
now
back.
you're too tired to cause trouble.
No, seriously. And
No,
study
seriously.
martial arts and just burn that shit off because it's as most men can tell you, boys, whatever, or men looking back at their boyhood, yeah, you're just constantly on edge. You're constantly like bundled of so much. You're literally and figuratively bouncing off the walls. You need to have that outlet. And I'm sorry, video games are not that outlet. You need the ranch. You need hard physical work, labor. You need to engage your body. It's your body telling you, start moving, asshole.
Yeah.
And we definitely have a problem today with a lot of low T levels. Like they have dipped, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but a significantly damaging amount that they are saying that like men could become like just randomly sterile from the fact that their T is so low, not being able to get it up and not even caring about pursuing,
not even wanting to get it up. That's
exactly. Like they just don't care. There's no motivation. And like we were talking with before, like, yeah, this is by design. This is what they, air quotes they, because I don't know who they are, but they're obviously in some form of controlling elite, want the rest of us just like puddles of mush that they can push around and suck tax bucks out of.
Well, you offered me a beautiful segue, but before we do that, did you have any comments? I mean, I think I presented it as people do this, but there's a risk reward thing in terms of hormone supplementation. Do you have any thoughts on this, Sora?
Talk to your doctor, get blood tests regularly.
Yeah.
If you have a family history of any sort of cancer, keep an eye on that.
Yep.
It's basically the best you can do.
Well, you can't self-medicate. You need to work with your doctor on this, and you need more data. It's like a thing where without data, you can't make good choices.
And don't be proud and not go to your doctor. I learned this again, men. Once we hit that age of about 30, you need to start watching this shit because something bad can creep up like that.
No, I'm going to go to the doctor after I get in shape.
Yeah, I mean, like, no, don't be proud.
I'm going to go and then I'm going to get tested. I'm going to dominate those tests. Look at that.
Because I know for me, again, a quick story time with DrFunctional. Like from 30 to about 38, I didn't have regular visits with my doctor. And so when 38 rolled around and I had that first round of tests, they were like, holy shit, your cholesterol is way too high for someone of your BMI, age, et cetera, and they didn't have the baseline of me, my paternal history, didn't have my father's medical record. So we're basically starting with zero baseline here. But sure enough, 4 years of regular testing, and they're like, okay, no, your cholesterol level is high for the average, but it's normal for you. And that was just like an amazing weight off my shoulder because, as I said, when men get to a certain age, you really have to be careful about certain things like colon cancer and lung health and all these other things that if you are not regularly keeping track of these things on the doctor's side, they won't have that baseline to sort of judge to say, okay, well, yeah, these levels or that level or whatever is in the median, for the public, but it could be low or high for you. They won't know.
Yeah. But so this is going to blow Sora away because I think she's going to think this would never happen to anybody I know. I actually tried calling my doctor on Wednesday, and I sort of briefly recall that there isn't usually, I mean, he's getting a little older, so there's usually no one in the office on Wednesday. So they do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. But I called the number, and nobody picked up. And I called like 3 times, and I was just calling to get blood tests arranged and make sure that some of the things that I wanted to have tested were in that list.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day comes, and I hadn't remembered that I'd called the previous day, hadn't bothered to call up. They actually looked at the missed call logs and called me.
Oh,
that's how good my doctor is. Because 99% of the time, doctors would just go, "Oh, glad I didn't have to take that call." Dodge that
if
bullet.
you didn't leave a voice
I didn't.
mail,
I
I
didn't.
don't know you called.
I didn't.
Yeah,
They
don't
just
fuck
showed. They just saw it on caller ID and called me back.
But here you can't do that. If patients know, oh, you have caller ID, they get creeped out.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, like, yeah.
Yeah.
But if for some reason we don't, we shouldn't have it.
I think the part of the reason
it is.
At least I know my reason for getting creeped out at unknown numbers is because for some reason, even though they're illegal, they don't clamp down on robocalls. I get robocalls all the bloody time, and and Sora, I will call Bella and be like, "Look, this number, I want them permanently blocked."
Yeah. Okay. So
Because they're just robocalls.
here's the story that I was going to bring up while we remember what you mentioned earlier. Japanese trading company Shemp banned late night work at the office. Now the fertility rate amongst full-time employees has doubled.
Oh hell.
They're the green line. Yeah.
Interesting.
Now,
wonder what happened.
I wonder what happened.
It's like people have energy to do things.
They have energy to do things. They have opportunity because they're not sleeping in the office. But maybe
they
there's
get to go home early enough that they can do people.
But maybe it's actually something else. Maybe it's because their work-life balance is a little better. Just everything just works, right? All of the things, the interpersonal things, the physical things, all of it just works. Because this isn't just them messing around. This is them actually like making a viable offspring, which is a little more involved.
And their failing birth rates in Japan specifically has become a major concern for their country because like they need to start replacing the population and they're so far below replacement rates that they're worried that they're just going to fade into obscurity.
No, it's Shemp and Company. They've reached 2. That's pretty good. That's the replacement rate.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Because I know, again, specifically Japan is in real dire straits. They have been for a little while now, as the graph you can sort of see suss out since 2000. Things have kind of really dived and then stagnated in not just Japan but other countries. I think the China thing has a little bit more to do than.
Okay, well, while we're talking about Japan, I guess there's some new law about how they basically pay consultants, and a lot of manga artists fall into that category, and people who do various types of voice work and independent stuff. And that stuff ends up going into a public database. So a new Japanese law set to take effect in October 2023 could greatly change how these creators are able to hide their identities from the general public. Likewise, this could completely shift the VTuber industry in a new direction, while also having a significant impact on creators in the manga industry as well. While details are sparse on the new invoice system, its impact on the manga and VTuber industries is already clear and apparent from the little information currently available. Yeah, imagine you're a manga artist or a VTuber or something, and with just a little bit of internet sleuthing, you can figure out who that person is and more information about them. There's just going to be a big database that people can look in. This seems kind of like a problem to me. Like maybe they didn't think it through, or because I know in the manga world, which I would never read because it's a weeb thing to do, but if I were to read it, a lot of these people write stuff under assumed names, right?
Pseudonyms.
Under pen names.
Yep.
Yeah. I would assume
I'm a big proponent of the right to anonymity, so this is scary.
Yeah.
This reminds me of what was that Candace Owens thing? Social.
Oh yeah.
Social hack.
Social autopsy.
Oh, social autopsy. Thank you.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that and like how poorly received that is. So this.
But I think there's a lot of money in these VTuber farm things, right? And I would think that these young ladies might be more vulnerable in some ways to just creepy, obsessive folks. Because it just tickles all the right little endorphin buttons and parasocial relationship things, the way these VTubers make their money. I could see this going poorly. And I do think that people generally have a right to be left alone. And I'm not sure why this database needs to be public. Now, in terms of people not evading their taxes, okay, fine. The government needs to know who's getting paid. In the U.S., there's a form. You pay anybody more than $600 a year, you issue a form, which is a 1099 form. And on that is the taxpayer ID of the recipient. So if you get paid by somebody, they know who it is. You can't skip out on the taxes. I don't understand why this is necessary for Japan. Maybe it's just part of their let's keep all the foreigners out thing. Make sure it's really easy for them to put the screws on you, that they don't want you hiring the wrong people. I don't know.
Again, but that could be done with public anonymity and still be done through government channels to be like, okay, well, this place, they're paying the taxes, or that we're going to go after them for their taxes, whatever. Because unless you're making your personal visage, your look, you as a person, how you look, how you act on a screen or in the public space, then yes, I believe that you have the right to anonymity. Tom Cruise does not really have the right to anonymity because he is a public figure, just like a government employee isn't. They're a elected government employee, to clarify. They are them. That is their product that they're putting out into the world. Then yeah, I believe you should probably be able to look them up. But just like a friend of mine, like Gasly, I don't want somebody to be able to like search up his tax records and where he lives and everything like that, because that's opening the floodgates to all sorts of like bad juju happening.
Well, okay, Sora, you're a defender of terrible things all too often.
Yes.
What do you think of this plant? It's the Gimpy, or maybe I think that's the stinging addition to the poison garden. So there is a botanical garden in the UK. I think it's in Northumberland. And it has this thing which is referred to as the Australian stinging tree. It's described as being the world's most venomous plant, with its nettle-like exterior and tiny bristle hairs packing a punch. Let me see, where's a description of what this thing does to people? Here's the gear that you have to wear to touch this thing.
Good.
Yeah, because definitely let's get one of those. The plant usually flowers and produces its fruits when it's less than 3 meters tall, and it could reach up to 10 meters in height. The stem, branches, shemps, leaves, and fruits are all covered in stinging hairs and not to be touched. The tiny brittle hairs, known as trichomes are loaded with toxins over the entire plant, and if touched, stay in the skin for up to a year and release toxin cocktails into the body during triggering events such as touching the affected area, contact with water, or temperature changes.
I know some people I would love to touch this tree.
Yeah. Even if touched for even a second, the tiny hair-like needles will deliver a burning sensation that will intensify for the next 20 to 30 minutes, continuing for weeks or even months. In some cases, it has been said that the pain is so intense it can lead to self-harm. If you wish to see the newest edition, no, I don't. Do not touch.
Stop taking things out of Australia.
Yeah.
I know,
Nuke
that's
the
a good
site
point.
from orbit. Everything there wants to fucking kill you, even the plants.
Yeah.
Just nuke it all.
Let's put all of these
Why are
plants
you
in
bringing
one
it to other
garden. It'll be
planets?
great.
I mean, other countries.
What's the worst that could happen? Yeah. So is this plant cute? Does it deserve our... Is it okay? Or can we just exterminate it with fire?
I'm assuming.
Because I'd rather
said,
have
it's
triffids
good to
than
know
this.
that it exists.
Yeah.
And there's some people I know who should pet the tree.
Okay. Wouldn't it be great
I
if
like
it smelled
poisonous
really
plants.
good?
Can I send one of these in a gift basket to certain members of Congress?
Yeah, FTD. No, I think that would be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Oh, the poison garden.
These I like the gate with the skull and crossbones. These plants can't kill.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Cute.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway,
I mean, thankfully for the internet, I can look at these plants and not be anywhere near them.
Yeah, we're doing everything out of order, so bear with me for a moment here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So there was a study that was done investigating gender equality in urban cycling. Because, you know, I often think to myself, you know, there really aren't enough chicks riding bikes in town. What can we do about that? So this is just as pointless and stupid as you could possibly imagine. I'll give you the short version here. We studied the strength of association between cycling uptake by women compared to men and several characteristics of Western cities, both at a macro and microscopic level. I doubt they used microscopic level. At a macroscopic level, we showed that the cycling uptake of women is typically larger in flatter cities with a safer urban environment, such as cities with large, low speed limit zones and fewer blind intersections or three-way crossings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what they're saying is when it's easy to pedal and you don't feel threatened, women are more likely to ride bikes. Is that pretty much the gist of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also like, isn't there already known that women tend to take less risks or do less dangerous stuff? And so if you have less blind intersections, you know, that makes sense.
Yeah, get you a little bit of testosterone therapy and you'll be taking risks with the rest of us right away.
Yeah.
I'm gonna dominate this. Oh, dominate the road on my bike. Yeah, they spent actual real money studying this thing, and of course we have to look at it through a gender lens. No, we don't. I'm generally in favor of any two-wheeled vehicle. I like bicycles. I like motorcycles. I like it when ladies ride bicycles. I actually had a good friend who I used to work with a long time ago, and she was a alternate on the U.S. Women's Olympic cycling team when she was younger.
Oh, shit.
And she and I used to go out and with a few other people, and we'd do these group rides where we'd take like a long lunch and go out and cruise around. And I'm not an Olympic level athlete by any means, but like somebody who 15 years before was an Olympic alternate who was a woman, that was great, because it's really great to ride with people who challenge you. And there was another guy who was there who was just a little bit better than me, because I'm not a natural athlete, but I could hold my own. I could keep up with these people, and they just pushed me to be that much better. So I love bicycles. I love bicycles. I love motorcycles. I like anything with two wheels. And I would love to see more women use these things. But the idea that we're going to restructure cities in the name of equity so that the same number of women are cycling as the same number of men seems like an unrealistic goal to me. Not only does it seem like an unrealistic goal, it seems like it might actually be a pretty terrible idea. Let me give you an example that maybe seems less obvious. So this is Jeremy Clarkson. Clarkson on cycle lanes.
So this is Holland Park in London, one of the most beautiful streets in London because of all the trees that line it. And these are trees that the Mayor of London wanted to pull down to make way for a cycle lane. Well, he can fuck off.
Oh, fuck him.
The man's obviously deranged. You can't pull trees down so that people can cycle. I mean, I know that cycle lanes now are seen as the single most important thing in the world by all those lunatics with 5 hardened bananas on their head and a little goat.
But you get the general idea. This is one of these Clarkson is right again things.
I agree.
Because that study is the kind of thing that soft, smooth-brained government people will use as a justification for why we need to chop down the trees. You know, the trees that are cleaning the air of pollutants, that are, you know, capturing CO2, providing shade, changing, keeping the relationship between the urban environment and the weather systems more natural, because it's a green space and not just a big slab of concrete. Because you get microclimates because of cities. But there's almost no good reason to take a tree out of a city like that in this particular case. And to do it in the name of equity and cycling is absolutely fucking retarded.
The most asinine thing I've ever heard.
It is just stupid beyond all measure. The sane people really need to just take control of stuff. And at the very least, having somebody who's high profile like Clarkson mock them is a really good step in the right direction. I think these people need to be mocked often, early and
Incessantly.
often. Incessantly.
Yes. Yeah.
You could just change people's attitudes about cycling more easily than restructuring the whole world to make women feel more comfortable cycling. Because I like a nice cycle lane, right? It's not a problem. I mean, I understand why, I like being able to bicycle in cities and stuff, but to make it so that it's completely flat and there's zero risk seems like an unattainably high bar.
And if you have the room, recently here, the last few years, they did do that. We don't have the room for a bicycle lane, and we don't even have enough room for the cars that are already on the freaking roads, okay? But they tore up a 2-lane each way road so that they could put in and part of the sidewalk where trees would be to put in freaking bicycle lanes. Pissed me off. And now Mayor McCommy Chow wants to do that more places. And I'm like, motherfucker, you just killed a 2-lane street into a 1-lane each way. Do you know how much more traffic that's going to cause? How many more idling cars? And you're for the environment? How many trees you're going to be ripping up or could be planted at the side of that road? It drives me nuts because there are actual fucknuts out there that believe that shit that, oh, what are you talking about? There's not going to be more cars. No, not physically more cars. Same amount of cars, less space for the fucking cars. How stupid are you?
During
Pissed me off
COVID,
more than the yogurt thing.
during COVID, and up until recently, they for one of our parks here, they shut down. So it's a one direction driving through this park. And it was 2 lanes. Now, it was always 30 kilometers per hour. So it's like, like cruising, it's just a slow speed and then on the sidewalk was already a bike lane. So it was already a split sidewalk. So, left side for bicycles, right side for pedestrians, right? So already we had a bike lane or a bike path technically, and then you could either be on the sidewalk or further down on the seawall. So you as a bicyclist have either the choice to go on the seawall or through the forest, okay? So and then for cars, you could drive on 2 lanes, and there was a parking spaces fairly, frequently around this driving path. So during COVID, they decided, well, what would be a good idea is we're going to remove all the parking spaces that are like spread out, except for the ones that are already built in. So like any additional like off to the side parking spaces, they got rid of that and one of the driving lanes to create an on-road bike path that they didn't need because there was already 2 different separate bike paths. So what ended up happening, of course, exactly like Functional says, it's the same amount of cars, but now it's gridlock almost.
Yeah. But if we make the driving miserable, people will get on bikes.
Yeah, but the thing is not only that, is that the bicyclists, now that they have a quadruple-sized bike lane, are still weaving between cars.
But what if they're on e-bikes, Sora? What about e-bikes? They should be able to use the bike lanes and the roads, don't you think?
Oh, the e-bike guys go on sidewalks here.
And that's not dangerous at all. Yeah.
Oh yeah, or if you're on e-bike, scooter, the unicycle electronic thing, they don't give a shit. They go wherever they want to go. The middle of the 2 lanes, whatever. It's because they're not licensed here. They don't need specific insurance yet. There's no license. It's still an experiment. So it's under experimentation and data collection to see if this is something they want to permanently allow in the city.
Mhm.
It's horrible. I hate it. And anyway, so what happens? Well, of course, everyone's complaining. And what the government's saying, or other people are saying, is, well, technically, you shouldn't be driving through the park. You should not be using it as a shortcut. And that's exactly what most people do. They use it as it was a way, if you're coming from the North Shore, driving through into the downtown core, people who wanted to go immediately into residential area would go through the park, because the park would cut a huge chunk of traffic out of your driving. But it was still a 30 zone. So you're not speeding through there. It's just a very nice leisurely drive, and you're out of the traffic. Because for everybody else who are going into the downtown core, into further out into the other cities, you have to continue straight through like the regular, like off the bridge and down the main street, because that's you're trying to get back on the highway, right? Anyway, so and people were like, well, the next thing was, the other issue was people with mobility issues, right? You've taken away a bunch of parking spaces. Well, and then they were saying, well, there's still parking spaces. There's the parking lots that are still accessible. Yes, but if you wanted to get out and go to certain lookout points, you no longer have those off-road parking available that were official parking spaces anymore. It was just a mess, and it was hilarious, because there's nothing like funnier than when at least our city hall here has a mental breakdown, because now they screwed up the bike path and accessibility, and now they don't know which people to go cater to.
Yeah. Well, we're never going to reach utopia if we're not willing to cause a few problems along the way, Sora. It's important. So let me see. Let's see. Japanese people making babies. Let's see. Where do we want to go here? Manga artists, poison plants, sea otters.
Bicyclists are the vegans
Yeah,
of the road.
we're doing everything like totally in the wrong order. Oh, okay. So Georgia's first openly socialist mayor was caught burglarizing something.
What?
Yeah. I apologize. So he said in a comment, I apologize for the negative attention that this has brought to our city. I hope that the spotlight on our city right now will highlight some of the inequities that have been happening.
What?
Mayor, why were you on that property?
I just wanted to see the house. I do apologize to the owners. I thought it was abandoned.
What do you say to your constituents?
It slipped and
I
fell.
apologize
Yeah.
for the negative attention this has brought to our city. But I hope that the spotlight that is on our city right now will highlight some of the inequities that have been happening.
So you're guilty of the charges?
I think that's for the voters to decide.
Yes. Arrested for trespassing and burglary. That's your mayor. He's a socialist, so it's nice when they feel so comfortable in their stealing that they don't even use cover of authority to make it look legit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because why not? Well, I know how much you enjoyed the sexual harassment training video from Godfather's Pizza.
Yes.
Yeah, you thought that was pretty good, right?
Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah. So let's see. We have to go into the, let's see, where is it? Archive. Okay. Judge in Italy says groping is only a crime if it lasts for more than 10 seconds.
Of course, it's in Italy.
A judge in Italy has ruled the groping that lasts less than 10 seconds isn't criminal. The ruling was in response to a case in which a school caretaker groped a 17-year-old student. The controversial decision has sparked uproar in Italy, as well as a viral social media trend. And by trend, does it mean world star hip hop?
8 seconds.
9-second rule. It's like the 5-second rule, where you can pick. You've heard about the 5-second rule, right? Where if you drop something on the ground,
5-second rule, but
and then you can, it's like it doesn't count, but it's like the 10-second rule for sexual harassment.
Mamma mia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, fuck Italy.
How could I know if she wanted it if she didn't tell me within 5 seconds? Come on.
Wow, this is pretty hardcore. The woman, now 18 and identified only as Laura, was walking up some steps to class when the incident occurred. The Italian newspaper Shemp reported she felt her pants fall down and a hand touching her buttocks.
What the
and
fuck?
then a man grabbing her underwear. Alrighty. According to the media outlet, the student turned around and saw other Shemp who said, "Love you, you know I was joking." The student reported him to the police. Yeah, this is sort of like that thing where they said that this trans female couldn't offend people because he was so fat that his penis wasn't visible in the women's locker room. You heard that case. So this is sort of the same kind of logic, I'm guessing. You know, it's okay. Maybe his mama raised him to be kind of tactile. Yeah, 10-second rule for no. This seems pretty messed up to me. Even at Godfather's Pizza, that's a no zone.
Do not touch.
Yeah.
How fucking hard is that?
That's a no zone. You don't even need the 9-inch pepperoni stick to know that that's not something you're allowed to do. I don't know. I worry about Italy sometimes.
I worry about humanity sometimes.
You know, well, we haven't had any penis news for a long time. This is about as close as it comes. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I was excited too. I was like, oh, what's the news? Oh, it's this one. It's bad touch penis news.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Someone used the open triangle bracket 3 to do the little like symbol for a heart.
Yeah.
I called it a pointy peen. Because the 3 looks like the balls and the open bracket was like a sharp penis.
Mm-hmm. I see it.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
That's what you wish she said.
Ad blocker detected. Yeah, I'm looking at some of the possible penis news stories. Let's see. Oh, I like
Your search history.
Yeah.
Google, search for penis news.
RAF pilots draw giant penis in sky with flight paths. That's always fun. I always like that one.
Yeah, but then there's always someone who gets upset and then they get disciplined and it's no fun.
Sarah Palin's Zoom meeting hijacked with drawing of giant penis. Yeah. Channel 4 to broadcast documentary about people with large penises. Janitor dips penis into woman's water bottle, infecting her with STD. Okay.
What the fuck? Okay, that one.
Okay, let's see if I can find that. Janitor.
So that was the episode of 60 Minutes I was on? Cool.
Yeah.
There's so many questions. Where? How? Was she watching?
Yeah, okay. Well, it's New York Post is always a reliable source for news, right? Yeah. Let's see.
Number one.
Well, at least I know I'm probably not going to get us canceled if I follow that link. See, woman who contracted STD after janitor put penis in water bottle files lawsuit.
How small was his dick?
Yeah. Oh,
could
ew,
feel
he
it.
urinated in the bottle. Now filled a civil lawsuit of the stomach-churning case. The custodian, 50-year-old Lucio Diaz, was arrested this week in Houston, charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Yeah, so in California, you can give somebody AIDS or just disclose that you have HIV. And that's considered to be like an infraction. But I guess in Houston, this is the thing that happens. The victim, who hasn't been identified previously, told the station that she felt disgusted after she was set up a hidden camera in her office at a medical building and allegedly caught Diaz dipping his manhood into her bottle last month. Now, at what point do you become suspicious enough that you start setting up cameras to keep an eye on your water bottle? Is this if you're working for Bill Cosby, I could see where this might be a thing you would need to do. But I would think that any water bottle that doesn't have a seal intact on it might be an issue if you work for Bill. Maybe I'm missing something here.
Well,
and also sexually transmitted diseases don't travel this way usually. This whole story seems weird to me. Sorry, go on.
Well, I'm thinking that's where her suspicion. I mean, you obviously know if you're sleeping around, and if you're not, and you somehow magically contract STD. There's got to be something going on. So, or maybe it says he urinated in it. Maybe she smelled like, why does it smell like piss? Ooh, I'm gonna throw out this bottle, and then the next night she comes back into the next day she comes back into the office after it's been cleaned. And why does this water bottle smell like this? Do they have video?
No, I just have a still from the video.
Still frames.
Yeah.
What a piece of shit.
I'm trying to figure out why this guy's dancing with his dog.
Father Doctor?
Father Doctor dance with Labrador steals wedding spotlight.
Humanity was a mistake.
I like dogs and all, but no. This seems like a problem.
Like, can we bring back the whole survival of the fittest thing? I know I'm not going to survive. I don't care. I'm willing to make that sacrifice for the betterment of humanity.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have an idea about that, but you know what? We've actually already gone our 2 hours, so I'm going to take that idea. I'm going to put it in a little box, and I'll bring it back later.
There it is. The woman had the liquid test, and it is confirmed that her water contained urine.
But urine doesn't usually spread STDs.
I know, but that's how she was cued into somebody's messing with my water bottles.
Yeah,
because it smelled like urine. If he's putting it in there and he's got herp or gonorrhea or something, the urine is just extra.
Yeah, that's just the bonus. The golden bonus that he provided.
These are things that are spread by touch. So again, yeah.
But what is the motivation? Okay, what is the motivation for somebody to put their penis in somebody else's water bottle? What exactly is that
most people are
fetish?
assholes, Harry, but only a small fraction of them are acting on those asshole impulses. And
weird fetishes. I don't know.
Yeah,
some people are assholes.
He's not German.
Some people are just assholes.
Yeah.
If he was German, I'd be less surprised. They have some weird ideas about stuff and things.
Oh boy!
But we've gone our full 2 hours. So rather than start another story, I'm just going to basically say, you guys have anything else?
Have your pets spayed or neutered?
Have your
I'm
pets.
Bob Barker.
Exactly. Sora?
Good night, folks.
If you hit a bicyclist, it's 50 points. If you hit someone on an e-scooter, it's 150. If you hit someone who's in a wheelchair, it's 500, and you get a gold star.
By points, you mean demerits. And with that, thank you, chat. Thank you, panel. Zoo's closed. Good night.
Night.
Bye-bye.